Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Carver Conservation Commission. First up on our order of business is a Pine Gate update. Gary, were you able to reach Julianne at all?
I called her twice and I sent her an email and
Okay, she may be away.
yeah.
All right. I do know that the poles have been removed from Rochester Road, and that next up was Tremont Street, and that they were going to start putting in the concrete poles.
Okay.
And I believe that in our order of conditions is soil testing simultaneously
Right.
with that. So
Okay.
I will reach out to her again. I didn't have a chance to do that, but at least we know that the poles are coming out, the
That's
wooden
good.
pole.
Good to know.
So
Thanks.
I'm glad about that. Okay.
I don't see any going in either on Rochester. It's just, they've been pulled and that's it. So they're gonna have to, what, dig all new holes now?
No, they're going to probably use the same holes.
Holes will cave in on themselves.
Yeah.
They can't pile drive concrete, so they're gonna have to do something.
Well,
Be interesting to have them come in and tell us what's next before they do it, and then we have another issue.
okay. But as of now, the enforcement order stands that they replace the wood with
Yeah,
concrete.
but the original agreement was they could pull a pole and replace it with a concrete pole at the same time because you can't drive a concrete pile. Because they'll
Right.
shatter it. Well, now they pulled all the poles. So now there's a bunch of holes, which is a hazard all by itself, as well as they'll cave in on themselves. So they're gonna need to go in there with
Not
an auger and now
necessarily.
start re-drilling holes. What are we doing? So we gotta find out what's happening.
Okay. All right, next up is 15 Holmes Avenue, violation. Hi,
Hi,
could you sign in, please? And then tell us your name?
Kathy Boudiette.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. Are you the person who supplied Gary with the photograph from?
My sister did.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. That
welcome.
was very, very, very helpful
Oh, good.
in showing what it looked like, prior to the complaint we received.
Right.
So basically, David and Dan Badger and myself and Gary went out today and did a site visit, and along with the photo that you had submitted. And we saw that the area that the cutting had been done in was a cut area in the past.
Right.
With just lawn on it. And it was just evidently overgrown.
It was.
There are a couple of things that we did see. There's one area between the water and the dwelling on the left-hand side where there's a lot of trees and an old fence that's been pushed over the side.
Oh, right. Pushed over the side?
Yes, it's lying in the shrubbery to the left of the driveway, or not the driveway, the pathway going down towards the water. There are
Okay.
two areas where there is debris.
Okay.
All right, both of those areas, the debris has to be pulled out.
Okay.
All right, and on the slope of the hill, where in your picture showed grass previously, we're going to ask you to plant some native grasses there to prevent erosion.
Okay.
Because right now it's bare soil. So all of the brush that's at the top of that hill, and the brush and the old stockade fence that's at the other pile of debris, that's also in the wetlands. All of that has to be pulled out
Okay.
and removed. But I think that's about it. Anything else? Did anyone see anything else today that warranted it? Well, one other thing I do want to mention is that we saw you had a dock in there.
Uh-huh.
And the dock is fine, but with any dock in Carver, it has to be seasonal. and has to be pulled out at the
Okay.
end of the summer.
Okay. Does
So-
that go for everybody on the pond?
It does.
Okay.
Should.
All right. Well, if it doesn't, I'll let you know.
Okay, but I mean, the way the ponds freeze here, any dock that's left in is going to be mangled. So
Okay.
most people pull them anyway. So how long do you think it'll take you to pull all that stuff and get that cleaned out? Because we want to go out and take a second look.
I'll say within 2 weeks.
Okay, so let's say like September 1st. That's a month.
Yes, that's good.
Okay. And if you could just plant some native grass, get some seed at Agway, or they have
All right. Can we put some loom down before we put the grass in, or just put the grass on top?
I would
of-
just put the grass on there. I mean, it grew there before.
Okay.
We don't like bringing in foreign soils inside the 65 feet, so
Okay.
give it a shot with what you've got there.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next up is a memorandum to the planning board. A note, a letter has been written to the planning board from the Conservation Commission regarding what we as the Carver Conservation Commission are responsible for regarding wetlands permissions. So there were a couple of issues where items that we had voted on that are within our purview were talked about by the planning board, and different decisions were made, which is outside of their purview. So we've just written a memorandum to the planning board that we're going to sign tonight and send out. You all got a copy of it, correct? So everyone okay with that? Okay, so we'll sign this and we'll give it back to you tonight, Gary.
Correct, yes.
Now I'll hand it over to you.
Okay. All right. Linbia's Path, deed for the conservation area and easement. I think, Dan, you were on the commission when we did Linbia's Path, which is the 5 homes off High Street, the 5 new homes. And there was a
Just
section.
send it back, Dave.
There's a section of the property that was down the hill, I think towards Muddy Brook, maybe, that was given a conservation easement. It's this area right here, this parcel. So they were allowed to build homes closer together by virtue of granting the conservation easement. So that is available. So at our leisure, individually, we have to go to the town clerk's office and sign the deed so that the property gets turned over to conservation. So when you get a chance, go into town hall and the town clerk's office and sign that.
Okay, will do.
It's the area that's circled off to the right there, Dave, that parcel. Okay. 22 South Main Street, plan revision. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm
Long
good,
time no
thanks.
see.
Alright, let me see. So I didn't prepare a new plan, but I can give you one of the last ones. From the previous submission. Yeah, thank you.
So are you amending that variance?
Yes, I had the idea, unfortunately, after our meeting. I was wondering if
the commission would be open to, instead of obviously still stopping at the 65-foot on the pond, and then instead of a fence, if it was acceptable to do plantings and arborvitaes to create some kind of a natural barrier instead, which within that 65-foot would just be a natural vegetative barrier instead of an actual fence.
Would that be on both sides?
Yes, just to the on the right. If you're looking at the pond from the house, the right-hand side, I would just be looking to go to the gazebo, not even down
Okay.
to the water. And then on the left-hand side, where all those trees already are,
Yep.
just coming down to the edge,
The water's edge,
the water's edge, yeah,
which changes every day.
which changes every day.
It's dry, that water's low, that lake's low. Okay.
I didn't modify that plan at all. I probably should. I can do that. I just figured in an informal discussion to see if the commission would be open to that. But I can submit anything else you'd like or would need for the amendment.
All right, does anyone have any concerns about that? I mean, obviously, we said no to a fence, but arborvitae is natural. Dan?
Not sure what I think about it, to be honest with you. You know, no touch is no touch, you know, we've said, but, I mean, it's not exactly a hill I want to die on, so whatever.
Well, I mean, no touch, we've allowed people to plant native trees within the wetlands, or within the 65-foot, if that's what they desire. I mean, it's a better, it's better to hold the soil, it's better to filter the rain. So I don't have, I think this is a much, much better solution than a fence. And if it accomplishes the same thing, then I'm okay with that. Mr. Jermaine, anything?
So let me get this straight. The guy can't dig a 4-inch hole going down to the water's edge, but we're gonna let him dig a whole bunch of holes and plant trees all the way down to the water's edge.
Correct.
And you don't find that's more disturbance. I still go back to what I said originally. It's his property. I don't know why this board is so hung up on this fence thing. He ought to be able to have a fence right down to the edge of where he wants to put a fence. Now he's gonna do more damage.
Except that the law says you can't.
Okay, well, the law doesn't. That's why they give us a variance for it.
Well,
So this is nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. By all means, grant the guy his variance for the bushes, but it does more damage in his backyard than that fence ever would have, and cost him 3 times the money to do it.
if fences had root systems, I'd agree with you.
Okay, great. He's got a whole tree line he's gonna fence off. Now it's gonna have a double tree line with arborvitaes. The guy's trying to contain his animals. That's all he's asking to do.
Right.
And I think we're making it as difficult as we possibly can for this poor gentleman because he's on Sampson's Pond.
Because he's on any pond.
Well, whatever.
Because he's within 65 feet.
Tell him how you want it to write up, and you guys do what you want. I will abstain from
Okay.
any further action. And I would hope that he would appeal, because this is ridiculous.
Okay, that's your opinion.
Thank you.
All right, we need to take a vote on this.
Before we do,
Yeah,
so the intent of the 65, all these setbacks and things like that is for the purposes of protecting waterways and things like that. I have to say, not because I feel like being agreeable, but I'm actually agreeing with both of you in that you both make good points in terms of, impact. Less impact with the fence in some ways, but maybe an improvement in terms of, with the root system developing around plants You know, I never make my decisions based on what's gonna cost somebody less or cost somebody more. That never really enters my thinking when I make decisions in this vacuum that is this, you know, this body. So, I guess I hate voting on things where it's not that I'm indifferent, but I'm not sure how this particular case improves or hurts anything going either way as it pertains to, you know, protecting our resources.
All right,
Well,
so,
he has a right to file an amended plan.
yes, he does.
So he can file to amend the variance. So there's no vote necessary now. We can't vote now whether you're gonna let him do this or not, because that would be improper. He's still gonna have to file for an amended plan.
Right, that's what I'm
So-
saying. I'm not sure what I'd be
If
voting
we all
on.
vote no, and he walks out of here and files an amended plan, we still have to hear it.
Right,
So I don't know that a vote is even necessary.
I agree.
So we have to bring him back.
We gotta bring him back. We gotta have a plan.
All right,
He's gotta make an application to modify the variance, to amend the variance, if that's what he so desires.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, he would just, like before, he'd have to just amend the order of conditions.
okay.
Yeah. If that's
I
what he
didn't,
wants
yeah,
to do.
I didn't want to go through that whole process.
No, you
if-
wouldn't have to file a new NOI. You're just gonna
Right.
you're gonna amend the existing order.
Right, and
But it
that's
still
what,
has to be noted as such, and it has to
Right.
be a public hearing and blah.
and I understand that, and I have no problem with that. I just wanted to see, you know, if I go through that whole process, I wanted to kind of take the commission's, you know, feelings on this.
Well, your guess is as good as
I
mine.
don't like what happened the first time, so.
Right, well, you know, from my personal standpoint, I feel that planting trees in a wetland is a lot better than putting in a fence post.
It's because you live next door.
Stop that. No, I do not, it's not because I live next door. It's because I'm following what
And maybe you shouldn't have made the statement, what if everybody on the pond wanted to fence their property?
the ponds, plural.
I didn't hear ponds. I heard pond.
All right, so anyway, my personal opinion is that planting trees is a lot better than putting in fence. And it sets precedent that if somebody else wants to do the same thing for their dogs, that they have to follow suit. And we're always
Little
talking
dogs
about
that go
precedent.
between the trees.
So, that being said, can you come back with a revised plan?
Sure, I wasn't sure if, you
I'm
know.
good with it, so.
You're okay with
Yeah,
that
okay.
as well? Okay. You seem on the fence a little bit.
I see what
Pun
you did.
intended.
I see what you, I
Pun
see what you did.
intended
I
right
see what you
there.
did there. That's good. Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is we're needing to vote on.
Hate to say that I get what Dan is saying, but
I just
trying to find a different way to skin the
I'm-
same cat.
right, and you know, as I stated, you know, last meeting where I thought that this body could do better. It's not so much that people don't make good decisions here, but if we keep adding these different superfluous layers to our bylaws, it makes it really confusing for people in the town to know what to do and what to ask for and what to, you know, how to.
So are you saying basically that we don't allow either?
I mean, I can, usually the way I vote on things, the way I read things is no touch means no touch, but,
But that's why there's a variance. And a
Right.
variance is whether we allow a fence or whether we allow trees.
right, but we're not a variance stamp committee either. And
No.
so we
No, we're
have
not.
to, you know, usually whenever
We are
I,
a small town.
yeah,
There is no absolute bylaw that come hell or high water, we gotta stand by.
yeah, no, I get that, yeah. It's, I guess it's just one of those ones that I almost don't feel like dealing with because I feel like it's been dealt with.
He has a right to ask for a change in the order.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that.
I would entertain that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good evening.
I'd still appeal the first order, to tell you the truth.
All right, next up, 300 Tremont Street. Discussion on a proposed doggy daycare.
Another one?
evidently.
How many doggy daycares we got?
Got a lot of dogs.
Huh?
We got a lot of dogs.
There you go. You'll be in competition with the giant doggy daycare in North Carolina.
Well, much more smaller scale than that.
You just have to talk into the microphone. So I don't know if you want that in a chair next to you or the.
Doesn't matter. Should I hand out cookies for everyone? Okay. I did extra, but just.
Thank you.
It's okay. You get the blame, don't worry.
Thank you.
The river mall.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry.
I don't know.
River Mall? River Mall?
This was named,
What am I looking
that
at?
was back in the 80s. That's the bat. Well, she'll explain if it makes sense.
Okay, good. Save it.
Oh, okay.
Hi, everyone. My name's Haley Shanus. First, I want to thank you all for your time tonight. I am here for a proposal on a fence here at 300 Tremont Street, right back from Unit D. I have the plan right here, and the red Sharpie you'll see will be the fencing, and then the blue Sharpie right underneath it is where the pre-existing split rail fence is right now. I passed around those pictures of what the area would be. Not much at all would be done to the area itself. It would just be some raking and pulling out the prickers and stuff to make it safe for dogs.
It occurs, all within the 65-foot setback. The existing split rail fence is about 28 feet from the edge of the wetland that's depicted on the plan.
This is out behind Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yes, in that, if you're looking at the building, the back left corner.
Oh, it's the back building. Is that right?
No, it's the front building in the back of it, though.
Yes.
Dunkin's here. Erickson's across the street.
Okay.
Dunkin's here.
Oh, okay, now, okay.
Right, now you know.
This is going on the side.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't, you say that the corner is about 28 feet, so the building itself is about 65 feet?
Correct.
See those pictures again?
Yeah. Is it
the
paved?
building in the 65, or is it 65, is the pad at the 65 line?
No, the building is, the split rail fence is 28. There should be a split rail fence in one of the pictures. It's 28 from the wetland to the split rail. So to the edge of the asphalt, probably be about 50 or so.
So the asphalt's in the 65?
Correct.
I assume that there was no variance needed for that back then?
I don't know.
This goes back a long ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back in the mid-80s.
Yeah, mid-80s, I'm betting. So you're just trying to put a fence in where the asphalt is?
It would be improving the split rail fence that is there right now with a chain link and then adding on the two sides right there and then just that little side right there next to the building. So not going out any further than where that existing one is, just improving.
Where the split rail fence is, she's gonna wanna replace exactly where that is, she told me, with the chain link. And then from the corners where the split rail fence is up to the building, she wants to do chain link, right?
Yes.
And there'll be a
Yes, thank you.
gate, I assume?
Yes.
And I suppose silly question, but the property owner's okay with this? Is-
Yes, I have permission from the property owner, yes.
The asphalt will stay?
Mhm.
Anyone else have comments?
Can I see those pictures again?
Yeah, it's already paved along that side of the building. It doesn't show it on the drawing, but about half of the area that she's indicating as the dog run is paved. Going back to the back parking lot, from the front parking lot to the back parking lot, right?
Yeah, it's paved.
And the other area looks like it's filled with gravel or something like that.
Yeah, it's like some rocks, gravel.
This is 1986, Dave. This was built.
So this area is already disturbed. You know, it's you know, if they're matching the footprint of this fence area with a chain link fence.
Well, I mean, this is.
This is the outer part right here.
Right. This is.
So they'd simply be just going across this grass and it looks like it's been used for parking too.
Well, no, this is that road, this road.
Yeah. No, I get that. I'm saying even it's all beat, this area is all beat down from
Oh,
previous
yeah.
use.
You know what that was used for before, that area back there? Seems to have some pea gravel in it.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't think the land itself outside was used for anything. I
There
think
was
it was
like
just
car-
like an office building on the inside.
They,
Is there a
they-
car repair
Carver
going on
shop
back?
back.
Because they used to stuff cars back there. and-
Yeah, there's a car repair shop.
Yeah. That'll be where they stuff
So
overflow.
they won't be able to do that.
Yeah. Not to get into a discussion on nitrates and things like that, but is there some type of cleanup plan? It's pretty. This is where the dogs will be outside romping around
Yeah.
and taking care of their business, as it were.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
is there some type of buffering or whatever just outside the fence for that?
Like the indoor area itself would be like cleaning that out, are you referring to?
No, in the fence area is.
I think he's trying to stop the waste from running into the wetlands.
If I could jump in, I'm Phil Shanis. She can explain what she's doing with the waste. It's not going to sit there. She removes it right after the dog's done with it. That's procedure. If you want to explain the process a little bit?
Yeah, I have biodegradable bags that I would bag each mess by itself, and then it would go into a big metal trash can. Wouldn't cause any stink or anything. It would be removed every day and disposed of properly. And also I'd be using cleaning products that are made for dogs and safe for the environment. I've done lots of research on that. So I do have a lot of plans in place for that.
Yep.
Also, I believe there might be like a drain that's right there that like as far as it might go down into that drain.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
It's important to note that Haley has been a manager of a doggy daycare before in Middleborough. This is her first venture out on her own, basically.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at a map.
I mean, that one issue is something I'm sure the health inspector would bring up, but from we have a reason for looking at it as well, from our end of things. So.
yeah.
I think it's that old adage, too many poos and we all lose. It goes something like that. So
Okay.
it's a thing.
Well, the first thing that I see is that the culvert going under Tremont Street is indicated as being the culvert that carries Crane Brook. So the wetlands is not a wetland, it's a brook, which puts the 100-foot variance and the 200-foot protection.
Right,
It's no longer 165. It's a river.
right, it's riverfront, right?
So that changes the, the importance of it from the standpoint of Massachusetts law. What I would like to see is I would like to see a better plan. I'd like to see the 100 and 200-foot limitations shown on the map, along with the edge of the wetlands. It looks to me, based on aerial view, that the parking lot has been enlarged back here. It seems to go around the north side of Building 2 now. And that's not indicated on this plan. So I would like to see a plan that shows the full extent of the asphalt, the 100-foot no-touch zone, and the 200-foot wetlands protection line.
So would the chairman like to see or file a full NOI for this, or do you want to just see a plan ahead of time?
I think we should do another preliminary before they go to the expense of an
Okay.
NOI. But I want to, I would like to see approximately 100 feet. I mean, the scale is here, it can be easily drawn up.
Right.
The 100-foot no-touch zone and the 200-foot buffer from the wetland delineation, assuming
Makes
that
sense.
this wetland is still good.
If we're gonna do that, I wanna see a Concom and a building plan from when this was built, so we can find out how much of this needed a variance, if any, back then, if there was any such thing as a 200-foot setback from the roof line, or a 100-foot setback. I wanna know what wetlands laws were in place in 1986 when nobody cared. And I'll bet you'll find this file probably up in the attic. Because that'll have a big bearing on where we go from here.
Okay.
This probably got an okey-dokey and, back in the day, don't worry about it, go build your building for all we know. Not like that never happened.
I don't know. I
There could
wasn't
be a
here.
variance, there could maybe not be a variance, there could be something,
Right, it could not have been, it could not have been a law then. So that's what I would like to have done, okay?
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Do you want to set it, or give them a date, or give them an idea of when we'd like to have them come? But they can have these, you can have these back.
Want these
Yeah,
We can keep, can we keep one, just for the file, and you can have the
Yeah.
other ones?
Yeah.
we're going to meet again on the 17th of August, and then again on the first Wednesday of September. So which ones do you think you could get to?
Probably the
September? August?
August 17th?
I'll keep this one.
2 weeks from tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Try for August 17th.
All right.
Thank you. Minutes after?
Yeah, we'll do the minutes after.
No, she got 'em back.
No, here.
Savy puts them on his refrigerator.
Okay, next up, the continued hearing is continued again.
Zero South Meadow?
Yes. On the restoration project.
So that's to the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, to the 17th, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so new hearing, 0 Purchase Street. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by Blue Water Energy Partners, LLC, for the sampling and ecological assessment of the pilot solar project on the existing Cranberry Bog Reservoir. This project is located at 0 Purchase Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 55, lot 1. All interested parties are invited to attend.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I'll move over here so you can see me. Rob Bukowski with Weston & Sampson, representing Steve Ward, Blue Wave, and Laketricity. A little bit of history that some of you may be aware of. This was a pilot floating solar program that was installed probably 3 or 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
4 years.
Yeah.
So we've been working off and on with Mass DEP to try to get some input on a monitoring program, basically looking at, how do we monitor the water quality and see whether or not this floating solar pilot is impacting anything. And we haven't really been able to get much momentum there, but we did reach out to them, about a year ago, and their suggestion was that we file an NOI basically to get them moving, so it sort of forces them to review and provide input on our plan. So what we submitted the NOI on was just to look to implement this monitoring program. So it would consist of 3 months worth of monitoring. You can see there's 9 locations on the 2 ponds. What we're proposing is depth profiles for temperature, dissolved oxygen, specific conductance, and pH. And then at each of these locations, we're also going to collect samples and have them analyzed for nutrients. And then we'll also do visual transparency, and then an ecological assessment, basically looking at the vegetation at each one of these locations. So the locations were selected. As you can see, there's 3 very close to the pilot array. It's 1 directly under, and then 2 immediately on each side, and then the rest of them are kind of spread out through the 2 ponds.
Can I ask a question? Why would there be 3 more way down the end if it's nowhere near the pilot array? Is this going to be eventual expansion?
We're trying to get some background conditions too. So that's why we picked those locations that are furthest from the array, and trying to compare those to what's immediately adjacent to and under the array.
Is this the same company that you had before? Because I remember we had that site visit, and they explained that we thought this was a great idea. I think it was Jim was there, you were there, Saber.
Yes, I was. Yep.
I don't think Dan was on the commission yet. And we thought it was a fabulous idea because it went so far as to say it was better for the life in the pond because it gave them cover. And that came to mind when I saw this, because Savory at the last meeting, I think you said Sampson's was 86?
Yeah.
87 degrees?
Yeah, it was
So
today,
a
too.
shallower pond would be even warmer, and, aquatic life starts to die off and stuff, and if this would shade them, we thought there was all pluses, and then I thought, nothing ever happened with it, so I'm thrilled to see this come back. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Just a little bit in the dark here, what exactly, I'm new to the commission, so what exactly what are you doing? Is it actually a floating array?
It is. Yeah,
It's
it looks
on
like a
pontoons.
dock.
That looks like a dock.
Yeah. Yep. So it's not connected to anything. It's just the actual structure. It's anchored to the sides, but it's not connected electrically to anything.
And you just did a little small pilot one up here.
That's all that's there now. Right. Right.
Has that been there for the last 3 years?
Yeah. It has.
So this could conceivably take up 50% of the area, I think they talked about, right? Something like in the 40 or 50% range of a given pond, because you still have plenty of natural sunlight for the pond.
50% is the DEP guidance, correct, up to 50%.
So that could give you some huge resource area with no land impact to it at all. I mean, I think the only question I had was, what are you doing if it freezes? And whoever the rep was at that time said that these things were even designed to, as the pond froze, they'd rise up because they were angled or somewhat, so
tapered.
you couldn't crush them. You'd almost pop them up, you know, and then when the ice melted, they'd set back in again.
You have better memory than me,
Yeah,
Well, it
wasn't,
was the first time I'd ever seen one like that, and I think I got into a lot of questions with the rep at that time. Was it French?
she was French, yes.
She was French?
Yeah,
Sorry?
Eva.
Eva.
Yep. Yep.
Boss.
And if I recall, there was a small pump on each one that would put water across the top and throw the ice off it?
That was one of the ideas.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was fascinating.
It was very innovative.
Yeah.
And of course now with the just the solar technology, fast forward 4 years, we can get a lot more bang for the buck in the same size area now with a panel. It makes even more sense. So I think this is a fabulous idea. As far as the monitoring is concerned, I'm all for it. It doesn't strip clear land, it doesn't cut any trees down, it doesn't disrupt the natural flow of things, and it doesn't harm the pond life, as the monitoring will eventually show.
Reduced evaporation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's another thing she pointed out. That's right. You get less evaporation because it's covered.
Just curious, what about the connection wires? How does that work with those things?
So the wires run from the array down and just basically lies along the bottom of the
Lie on the
pond,
bottom.
and then eventually interconnects into the utility.
Yeah, we could find no detriment to the whole thing. There was just no impact to anything.
The water flow goes north to south, right?
Yes.
Between the two, yeah.
And this is on one of your reservoirs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a man-made reservoir anyway.
It is.
All right, any other, Dave, I know that there's stuff online about this.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, you should. They did quite a number of them, I believe, in Britain, on reservoirs.
Yeah, and there's quite a few in California, right, George, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yes, but the Britain you're referring to was actually on reservoirs, drinking water reservoirs.
Yeah.
And that's why the system went through the drinking water certification process.
Right, yeah, I remember that. So, it was a pretty innovative and fascinating
Yeah.
situation. Dan, anything?
Not right now, no.
All right, so basically what all we're voting on is the sampling.
Right, it's a public hearing.
Right, I know that. All right, is there anybody from the public who would like to say anything, ask any questions? Yes?
Hi, Dorothy.
Hello, Alan. Did you miss me?
I did.
I thought you might.
How
That's
are
why
you?
I'm here. So this is strictly Dorothy Paul at High Street, Carver Concerned Citizen. Is this strictly for man-made reservoirs?
Yes.
So we're not intending on doing this on Sampson's Pond?
No, Sampson's Pond's owned by the town, and the town can't own the solar. So it can't happen on Ricketts, it can't happen on Sampson up there.
Well,
This is on a private.
It's
this
too
is his
late for
reservoir.
Ricketts.
No,
There's
it's
no
never too
water
late.
there.
It'll be fine.
But, so this is only for man-made reservoirs
There's no-
that the Cranberry people,
There's no exclusion that be the case. There's no bylaw to that effect.
No, I think there is.
But
Not sure.
maybe a DEP rule,
Yeah.
but there's no bylaw in our.
That's the
Not enough.
DEP guidance, is that it has to be a man-made pond.
There you go. And so what I said was, we don't have a bylaw in this town, but we have to follow DEP.
and my question is, you're putting this above and it's gonna look like a dock, and it's going to have wiring underneath the water that goes to the electrical towers or whatever, in a battery storage area too?
I'm not sure, George, if we talked about batteries and stuff. So, I mean, at this point.
It's gotta go someplace once you create it.
Yeah, it usually goes back into the grid, but this, what we're asking for tonight is just approval for the sampling program. Just to
And-
get out there in a boat and collect these 9 samples.
Okay, and are you going to do chemical analysis, like the breakdown products of this solar project? If it wears down, the chemicals break down, and are you gonna check for that in the water?
What we're proposing is just nutrients and the things I mentioned. So, as George said, this has been approved for use on drinking water reservoirs.
That's great, but you're going to be out there sampling anyway. Why wouldn't you add chemical testing to make sure that this particular project or item that was possibly made in China doesn't break down in this high iron content water that we have here in Carver? High iron causes a lot of rust, causes a lot of things to break down. Can't tell you how many furnaces I've bought, can't tell you how many
This is all plastic,
dishwashers.
Dorothy.
Huh?
It's all plastic.
Everything in it is plastic.
The floating docks are all plastic.
But the solar part of it can't be plastic.
But the solar part,
Because-
it's not under the water, it's
It
above.
doesn't matter. It still will break down. Because we have acid rain also. So all I'm asking, is it not fair to do a chemical analysis while he's analyzing stuff for nutrients? Why not analyze for chemical breakdown? Thank you very much.
The answer would be because there's nothing in there now that would break down.
Right.
There are no panels in there other than a very, very small test panel. So I think that the concerns that you have regarding testing, if this is approved and gets put in, becomes part of the order of conditions of the notice of intent for the actual project itself. What we're voting on today is allowing them to do testing of nutrients to see if this is a viable, if this has a potential of being a viable project based on the small array that's there now.
This is really going to give you a starting point, is what you're looking to do, am I correct?
Correct, yeah, and this is
Because
really,
obviously, if you were to pepper half this area in solar panels, you wouldn't know what that would do. So you're gonna do, this is gonna give you a baseline.
correct, and to get DEP's feedback and
There you
buy-in
go.
on it.
And then you go on to the next phase, which may be putting in, some additional space and then monitoring that. This is not one of these that overnight there's gonna be half of this covered in solar panels, because we don't know what the impact, you got an idea, but I understand what Dorothy's saying, but I also understand that you're just looking to get a baseline
Right.
graph started here, so.
And that's all that this NOI is for.
Correct.
Anything that goes further than this would require you to come back in front of us and for another
Right,
public
they're
hearing.
not gonna come in,
Understood.
right, they'd have to
Yep.
come back and
Yep.
so forth and so on.
You mentioned something about this system passing drinking water, I assume DEP drinking water standards?
I believe it's
I missed
a
that
Britain
part.
standard.
Yes, the British standard.
Okay. So I guess what our friend has been, is concerned about is the quality of the water in there for perhaps future projects. And, I think we're all always concerned about opening doors to different nuances of things that could come down the pipeline, as it were. And so, at some point, I assume there'd be some test that either you or the DEP would require that it would meet drinking water standards, if that's what the intent of that body of water eventually was for.
Yeah,
Or if it was somehow interconnected
This
with
is a reservoir
source.
for his cranberry bog.
No, I get that, but
It's not drinking water, it's not designed to be drinking water.
eat the cranberries, Alan.
Yep.
Okay,
Well, it also, it's in the aquifer, so I mean.
Yeah.
oh, here we go again. Let's
There.
not start that, huh?
It is,
It is. It's man-made.
but the water
They
seeps,
dug a hole and they got water in it.
right.
So give me a break. I think we should let the guy do what he wants to do with this.
All right, so, is there anybody else like to say anything? No? Okay.
Motion to close the hearing for Zero Purchase Street, NOI DEPSC 126647.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second to close the hearing for Zero Purchase Street. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved.
Motion to approve the NOI SE 126647 for Zero Purchase Street as drawn on the plan dated 6/10/2022. Can I have a sticker?
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the NOI for SE 126647, Zero
As drawn.
Purchase Street,
As drawn.
as drawn on the plan dated 6/10/22. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved unanimously.
Thank you.
2-6.
Thank you.
Before you go,
Test away.
would you or Steve, would you just put your initial on this plan, Steve? We sign these now and keep one in the file? You'd be so kind, I do. Anywhere in the white area. This way there's never confusion. Feel free to date it if you'd like. 8-3. Good luck with this. How's your dad doing? Tell him I said hello.
Me too.
And your mom, by the way. My best. I gotta tell you, these good people. Your dad, your mother did a lot in this town over the years. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, next up, minutes.
Yes, Savory. Yeah, I have an amendment to the minutes. You give me that approval. On the minutes, I had mentioned to Ashley prior to, page 2, letter to the planning board. Mr. Jermaine noted that the last planning board meeting, I removed the word and I put the word questioned, because they questioned a variance given for a well, they questioned a variance given for a well by Concom. And they also wanted the engineer to move that well out of the 65. And Ashley has added that to the minutes. So I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Because that's really what prompted the letter to planning.
As amended, I'll second.
Just redefines the minutes a little bit more, so we have to go back and watch
Okay,
it.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of July 20th as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Approved unanimously.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're out. Thank you. Thank you, Area 51. 58.